I would always say to students, have you ever written a paper to bless your professor? And they look at me like I was nuts. Like, has that thought ever entered your mind? And the answer was always no. I said, why not? Because education is seen as something that you're supposed to get. I'm going to go get an education. It's what they're going to give me. But education is communal. Education is covenantal. Education is relational. Education is an exchange. When you go to class, I'm telling you, you will win at the game of academics if you come from a motive of service and love, that you're going to bless your professor. You're going to make him glad he came to this university.
Hello, I'm Veronica Karaman, and welcome to my podcast, Be a Champion, Faith-Driven Performance. This is the place to tee it up if you want to learn how faith, competition, and performance all intersects with one another, because those areas are meant to be integrated in your life. It's also the place to up-level your game and your life. I'll be sharing some wonderful transformational teachings, have some great guests who'll be sharing their journeys, and we are all on the road to championship. So my whole goal is to help you express the fullest potential of who you are as a champion. I believe as a champion in everyone. I believe as a champion in you. Enjoy the show.
Hello, I'm Veronica Karaman, and welcome to my podcast, Be a Champion. I am dedicating this podcast to probably one of the most important messages any student returning to college or a freshman going to college could ever hear. And I feel in my heart that I'm coming to you as a mama bear as you go off to college. As a performance coach, I'm always looking at what are the components that help somebody to win. And going off to college and having a college experience is much like a championship as an athlete. You've got 4 years ahead of you. You've got challenges, you have obstacles, you have opportunities, and you never enter a championship without considering how to win in that championship. And you also look at, who are my opponents? Who do I need to take a look at and study and see their strategy so that I can outwit them and have a competitive advantage? And today I want to talk to you about how to win at college, particularly if you're a freshman going off to college for the first time and you're excited and you're going to meet new friends and you're going to hopefully find what you really want to study if you already don't know that, and be on your own and establish independence and have all these wonderful things. And that's the great side of going to school. But there's also another side. And so as you go off to college, I want you to take a look at a couple of frameworks of looking at how to best go through your experience from a place of victory. First of all, I want to establish, you probably won't hear this anywhere else, that college is a war zone. Number one, college is a war zone. It's an established fact that if you are a young person of faith, of a Christian faith, 70% of you will lose your faith in college. And I want to challenge you and encourage you to make a decision that you're not going to be one of them. The Bible says to guard your heart with all diligence or all vigilance, for out of it flow the issues of life. And let's face it, college is a place where you will have all different kinds of philosophies, influences, beliefs coming at you. And perhaps for the first time in your life, you're going to have to stand on your own and say, what do I believe and what is actually true? And whether that's coming from a college professor, whether that's coming from a friend, you've got to be able to discern what is truth and what is error, and to hold to what you know to believe to be true. And many times, this awareness isn't even something that you're aware of. So listen to me. The person you listen to is the most important person in your life. Doesn't matter what they look like, what their credential is. The person you listen to is the most important person in your life. And I want to establish something from the scriptures in 2 Corinthians 10, starting from verse 3, when Paul says, "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight are not with weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. And we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ." So it is so important that you go off to college, that you win the war between the mind and the spirit, the outside influences, and the truth of the Word of God. And we do that by staying tied in to this most important book, and to establish a spiritual community when you go to college. You're going to make new friends, but I highly, strongly recommend that you find a good church and you find a good fellowship on campus, whether it's the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Chi Alpha, or some other Christian group that you feel a belonging to. The other part of the war zone in college is that it's very easy once you go back, or for the first time, that you might feel lonely. You might feel depressed. And so it's very important to establish a sense of belonging somewhere. Do you know, it wasn't until my junior year at Duke University that I felt my first sense of belonging, when I attended an FCA meeting. And for the first time in my life, I felt a sense of acceptance, and I didn't have to do anything to earn it. And although I was getting a great education, what I needed, my soul needed a place of belonging. So don't let that be a place where the enemy of your soul comes in and wages war with you. One of the ways that you can fortify against losing the war is to establish up front 25 things that you are not going to do in college. I actually heard this from Steve Harvey, the great comedian, who had his son do this when he went off to college. And do you know what that does? That establishes a standard, that before you ever get to a place of temptation, that you have already decided how you're going to be, what you're going to live by. Maybe one of those is that you're not going to engage in sexual promiscuity. It's a lot easier to have that standard decided upon up front when you're in the moment of temptation. And most of you will experience some moments of temptation. I can recall a situation of a football player, I believe this was at the University of Tulsa, who made a bad decision, got in a bad situation, made a girl pregnant. He was outed from the football team. His football career went down the tubes, and it totally disrupted, sabotaged, and stole from his college experience because of one bad mishap. And you don't want that to happen to you. 25 things you're not going to do in college. And I'd even recommend that you, when you write them down, you do it with your parents so they could be a support system. Number 2, college is not only a war zone, college is a game. College is a game. College success, academic success, is a game, and you want to play it so that you win. Now, what do I mean by that? Here's very simple. Most students, when they first go back to school, aren't so concerned with getting their work done on time. They're distracted. They want to get new friends, get settled in to the dorm room, get the lay of the land, learn where their classes are, like they're distracted. But if you want to win at the game of academics, all you have to do, number one, is don't procrastinate. When the work is assigned, do the work. When it is assigned. If any of you are athletes, when the ball is coming to you, or when you come up to the shot, you have to hit it. You can't say, you know what, I'm going to hit that shot tomorrow. I'm going to throw that ball tomorrow. No, you do it in the moment. So one of the ways that you can win at the game of academics is chart out your work. Get a schedule. Put down when you're going to do your assignments. And when you do that assignment, when you chart it out and schedule it, you've won the shot. So think about that. There are many more ways to win in the game of academics. The second one is don't be afraid to raise your hand in class. You know, it's a biggie. I was in graduate school making straight A's, top student in my class, and I can remember still being afraid to lift my hand in class and express my opinion. And I decided, you know what, this is stupid. Then I had to work on overcoming fear as a top student in my graduate level courses. And I won that because I faced my fears and I said, nope, I'm going to express myself. You can win in the game of academics by not being afraid to express yourself in class. Number 3, college is a place of discovery. And there are many different kinds of discovery that you're meant to discover in college, apart from who the cute girl is or who the cute guy is. College is a place of self-discovery, and hopefully you will encounter an academic discipline that stirs a passion in you. I thought that if I didn't make it on the golf tour, that I would go into the golf business because I was an aspiring athlete as a golfer. So I decided to major in management science. The only problem was management science didn't float my boat. Taking statistics, organizational behavior, and all these courses that were dry and boring to me and just weren't in alignment. But I didn't know. I made the best decision from my mind. But I didn't really pray it through because it wasn't until I was a junior that I actually became a Christian and had truly a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So I did what kind of seemed like the right thing to do, but I wasn't in what's called divine alignment. And then one day I decided to take a course that was taught by the most popular professor on campus, Dr. Barney Jones, and it was a religion course. And something in me sparked. I felt a passion for the first time in my life. And something exploded. And I can remember going to him and saying, should I postpone my graduation? Should I get a second major in religion? And he encouraged me to, go ahead and graduate and pursue those things in a graduate degree, which is what I did. But you have to pay attention to that. So college is a place of self-discovery, discovery of what your gifts and your talents are. And it should be a place of self-awareness that when you find that's the path you're to head down. College is also a place of discovering truth. And hopefully you will be a truth seeker. There were many times I would go into the chapel at Duke and cry out to God and say, God, please show me truth. Please show me your truth. Please show me the reality of who you really are. Do I believe what I believe in just because my parents passed it down to me? Do I believe in it because it's true? And so as many students fall away from faith, I allowed the desperate place in my soul to cause me to cry out to God. And I found him. And that's the most incredible, important thing that you could ever discover in college, is an authentic relationship with Jesus Christ. So college is a time where you are coming into your own, where you might think you have freedom for the first time. And that freedom can give you the wherewithal to make different kind of choices, and choices that you may not make if you were still under your parents' roof. So here's the thing, and here's where a great lie comes in. Freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want to do. That isn't freedom. Freedom is the ability to make the right choice because it's right. The Bible says that the truth sets you free. So it's as you live in the truth that you find real freedom. And truth has a discipline to it. And I always say champions have a disciplined mind. And I really realized this developing the mind of a champion in aspiring students and athletes for over really 30 years, is that when you're developing a champion mindset, you're helping someone to take all these thoughts like a wild horse and then narrowing their thoughts to a specific track, like a racetrack, where you put the blinders on and you make a decision that even though I could operate here, I'm going to operate here, because in this narrower lane, I can win. So the ability to look at your thoughts detached from the emotions and make a choice that this is how I'm going to run my race is the sign of a champion. A champion has superior focus and superior passion. So as you go off to school, think about, how can I go through this experience in such a way that it will cause me to win? I think college is also a place that hopefully you will discover your purpose. And in order to discover your purpose, you really have to have an active relationship with God, because he created you. He's the purpose giver, right? So I encourage you to pray. And maybe if you're even not someone used to doing that, to start your day with, God, please show me who you are today. Please reveal your purpose for my life. And purpose is also revealed by serving others. So put yourself into places and positions where you can serve others. When I was teaching a course that I created some years ago, which I'm happy to make available to you, called God's Way to an A, I would always say to students, have you ever written a paper to bless your professor? And they look at me like I was nuts. Like, has that thought ever entered your mind? And the answer was always no. I said, why not? Because education is seen as something that you're supposed to get. I'm going to go get an education. It's what they're going to give me. But education is communal. Education is covenantal. Education is relational. Education is an exchange. When you go to class, I'm telling you, you will win at the game of academics if you come from a motive of service and love, that you're going to bless your professor. You're going to make him glad he came to this university. Instead of just doing a paper based on an assignment, to base a paper on what you truly think will add a contribution to that field of knowledge that might even answer a question of one of your fellow students or meet a need or joining a group that will serve. And it's in that place of serving that you discover purpose. So if that is something that is of interest to you, I highly recommend that you empower yourself from above, because the greatest place of discovery, in my opinion, in school is to come to know the Holy Spirit as your teacher. And when I was in graduate school, I developed a course, and it's come to be known as God's Way to an A. It's a 7-lesson curriculum. You can use it as a Bible study or a self-study. And it truly is an in-depth scriptural study of knowing God as your source of wisdom, of how to receive that wisdom, how to give God the glory, how to approach study as worship. Religion is over here. Academics is over here, but they're meant to be integrated. In fact, see this ring right here, my Duke ring? The whole slogan of the school is Eruditio et Religio, education and religion. And the school was started to help train up ministry leaders and leaders who will come to understand that vital union between education and religion and to pursue those fields of inquiry that would lead ultimately to the knowledge of God, and for those fields to be pursued in the true character of Jesus Christ. It's unfortunate that so many of these schools have strayed from their original purpose. But you don't have to. So those are my thoughts with regard to going off to college, that you will see and understand college as a war zone, college as a game, college as a place of discovery, self-discovery, God discovery of truth, and that you would ultimately come to know the Holy Spirit as your teacher, because he's the one, he's your coach that will lead you and guide you. So I encourage you, you can check that out at truechampionacademy.com under resources, and you will have a guide that will help you and encourage you through your journey, because you were meant to win in the game of college. So God bless you. I pray God's protection over you, that you will come into the fullness of who you are, that you will guard your heart, and that college will be a tremendous time for you.
Hey, thanks so much for joining me today on my show, Be a Champion, Faith-Driven Performance. I hope you enjoyed it, learned something, were inspired. If so, please share, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear from you. And just remember, we're all on the road to championship. And I believe he's a champion in everyone. I believe he's a champion in you. So I look forward to seeing you next time.